a quartet of Leica shooters at the back, a 40 megapixel ultra-wide cine camera, 40 megapixel super sensing camera, 8 megapixel telephoto, and a 3D depth sensor. And in front, it has a 32 megapixel selfie shooter as well as a 3D depth camera for face unlock. Meanwhile, the Nex 3 has a trio of rear shooters, a 64 megapixel main, 13 megapixel ultra-wide, and 13 megapixel telephoto. For selfies, the pop-up camera contains a 16 megapixel shooter. First, checking out shots from the main rear cameras, the Mate 30 Pro does provide wider dynamic range, preserving details even in the shadows. Both phones lean towards more aggressive boosting of saturation, but it does feel like the Nex 3 does this a little bit too much, as well as with the contrast. Ultra-wide shots are about the same, though it's apparent that there's more detail from the Mate 30 Pro's shots, which can be attributed to its 40 megapixel ultra-wide sensor as opposed to the Nex 3's 13 megapixel ultra-wide sensor. And now for telephoto, the Mate 30 Pro can get up to 3x optical zoom and 30x digital zoom, while the Nex 3 can only get up to 20x digital zoom. Quality, however, leans more towards the Mate 30 Pro, as it gets sharper shots with more natural colors even at 30x, while the Nex 3 simulates better dynamic range by upping the contrast a little bit too much. Now checking out portrait mode, subject background separation is more or less equal between the two, but then again the Mate 30 Pro does something with the colors that makes them pop out more while still remaining realistic. However, when taking shots of people in particular, the Nex 3's warmer tones work to its favor as it preserves more accurate skin tones. And moving to low light with night mode turned off, for this city shot, the Nex 3 is actually able to provide a more dynamic shot, even able to capture the highlights accurately, while the Mate 30 Pro has a cleaner, sharper look even if it isn't as bright. With night mode on though, the Nex 3 is definitely more aggressive, and in this case it sort of works in its favor, making the shot look even more dynamic. The Mate 30 Pro's night mode shot looks like the Nex 3's standard shot. But when we get to almost complete darkness, the Nex 3 is helpless, as the Mate 30 Pro didn't silhouette me even with night mode off. It also took the Nex 3 more than a few seconds to expose the same shot in night mode, whereas the Mate 30 Pro did take a long time also, but it made a clearer image overall as if the lights were turned on in this bathroom. Now for selfies, we're kinda leaning more towards the Nex 3 for this one, for providing